Today we're taking a first look at the Glock 43x and 48 out of the box and to the range for a local match. Hey guys, my name is Dave Tim. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification button, so you are staying up to date on all of our latest content. Make sure you check us out on social media and online at gunsandtactics.com. Today we are taking a first look at the Glock 43x and 48. Now these guns were announced on January 2nd and I just got them in this week and it worked out really well. I was not only able to get them in, check them out, kind of get a first look, first impression, you know, what they look like, what they feel like out of the box, but just as luck would have it, my local range, got to give a shout out to Bill's Gun Club, or Bill's Shooting Range in Brainerd, Baxter, Minnesota. They had a compact carry night this week where the emphasis was using a compact carry type gun. And I thought, you know, this would be a perfect opportunity. So literally I got these guns in, took them out of the box, haven't shot them, haven't done anything with them, right out of the box, right to the range, and I shot the match. And luckily enough, give a shout out to Dan, the match director out there. He was super helpful and accommodating, let me shoot the match 2 times with each gun. And I have to say, my first impressions of the guns are positive. As far as shooting the guns, I found both of them enjoyable to shoot. The 43x, I do feel like had just a little bit more muzzle flip, a little bit more felt recoil than the 48. I do promise you, if there was a blindfolded test, I feel like if you put the 48 in my hand and I shot it in the 43x, I could tell a difference. And at first I thought there might be a different spring under the hood, but as you can see, it's actually the same recoil spring assembly from both guns. But I just found that the 48 just shot a little bit better to me, but they both shot really good for a small gun of this size. Now, comparing the 43x or the 48 to similar guns, such as other single, stack type guns on the market, I find that the 43, the original 43, the 43x, and now the 48 are still more enjoyable to shoot than some of the other competition on the market for small compact carry guns. Generally, these small compact carry guns are not enjoyable, but I had zero issue shooting these during the match, and I would have not any anticipated issues moving forward.
Yeah, so
the 43x, the 48. I will put all the specs. You know what? Actually, I'm not going to, because you can take the time if you want to. I'm not going to waste time in the video. Go to your favorite search engine, search. You can go to Glock webpage and you can see all the specs. But the short version is the 43x is a grip extended version of the 43 with a couple of other differences. You can compare here. Here's the 43. Get a close up for you. And you can see how the 43x has a longer grip. The slide is actually the same, except for the finish. The other notable difference, though, is the grip. You can see here, again, I'll get a close up for you. There is a grip difference. This is the 43 here. You can see it is a little bit narrower, and I don't want to say rectangular, but it's a little bit more rectangular. And then we have the 43x over here, which is a little wider, and it's a little more oval-like. And what I find that in the hand, I really like the grip of the 43x and the 48. They actually feel nicer in the hand than the original slimline 43. Now, I also had a 42. I was a big fan of the slimline guns. But the 43, it's a small gun. It's, very similar in size if we compare it here to a 26. Dimensionally, the footprint of the guns, we have the 26 out front and the 43. We'll just shuffle the cards here real quick so you guys can see. The dimensions of the 26 and original 43 are actually pretty similar, with obviously the exception of the width. This is the slim frame, so we do save a few millimeters there. Now, 26, really popular gun. I've carried this gun forever. As you can even see, this is my carry gun. It's got some signs of wear. I do have front serrations on it. We'll talk about front serrations here in a moment, but I add front serrations to everything. And yes, I know someone's going to comment like, why would you want to put your hand to the business end of the gun? And I'm going to make a separate video addressing front serrations. But anyways, love the 26. As far as the 43 goes, I actually really liked the 43 as a pocket gun, as a covert carry gun, a backup gun, or whatever. It's slim. It shot pretty good for the size that it is. It's reliable. So then when they came out with the 43x, you know, it's just a little bit bigger grip. You can get a nice hand on it. The additional circumference adds a little bit of comfort, and having that 10 round capacity is nice, and it's not too much bigger. So then we also have the 48, which is kind of the big brother to the 43x. The same width, so we'll get a close up here. Same width as the slide of the 43, 43x, and 48. Same grip, but we have a longer slide. And just to kind of compare the two, and again, you can see all the dimensions online. You can go get the exact blueprints and things like that, but it's basically Glock 19 length. And I do have a Glock 19 here. This is, again, one of my carry guns. I love this gun. Glock 19, arguably one of the best handguns in modern history, if not history. And I say that with a lot of facts and science behind it, but as far as #1 in sales in the commercial United States market, Glock 19 is the #1 selling handgun, and arguably, like I said, it's probably one of the best handguns of all time. So now we basically have a slim frame version of the Glock 19. You can kind of see the differences there. We have the 48 on top, the Glock 19 behind it. Now, yes, I do have a mag well on the 19. I shoot this 19 a lot, and I didn't want the mouth to get chewed up, so I added the mag well for protection. Let me shuffle the cards so you guys can see again. You know, dimensionally, we are pretty close in dimensions. Now, there is one dimension of the Glock 48 that is actually larger than the Glock 19. We know it's slimmer. We know that the grip length is about the same. The slide length is about the same. But the barrel is actually longer on the Glock 48, as you can see here. It's just a couple of millimeters. But the reason why they did that is for outside the United States. Now, some countries have restrictions on the size of guns that can be imported or legal for citizens to own. It has to have a certain barrel length, it has to have certain dimension requirements, it has capacity limitations, and the Glock 48 was designed to have this slightly longer barrel, so it was legal in certain countries, mainly looking to my brothers to the north in Canada. So the Glock 48 is actually going to be a Canadian legal gun. It meets the length requirements for the barrel and the capacity limitations of the magazine, which is pretty cool. Now, speaking of magazine, the magazine is shown here, and it's not the same magazine width as a 43, and obviously it's slimmer than that of the traditional 19, 26, 17, the double stack. I would argue it's like a 1 1/4 stack. There is a little bit of stacking that occurs, but it does have witness marks. So you can see between 3 and 10 where it's loaded, the nice bright orange follower that is also visible through those witness marks as you are loading the gun, takes down with the same base plate as we are known with the Glocks. Let's take a look under the hood at these guns. We have the slide here, which is finished in their NPVD finish. This offers a nice stainless-like finish. Now, one thing I do know is that it does show up, some fingerprints and handling marks or whatever, but this is a workhorse for me. It's not a show piece, so I don't care about that. What I'm also really happy to see is front serrations standard on the 43X and 48. I'm a firm believer, like I said before, front serrations for efficiency of motion, movement, drills, just a huge fan of front serrations. So awesome to see them here. Under the hood, it looks very similar to a 19 slide, obviously just again in a slimmer width. Now the frame is basically like we're seeing in the other slim frames, Gen 5 type frames. So it's a 2-pin gun. We have our locking block, we have our trigger housing that is borrowed from the 43. Now it does not have a flared mag well like the Gen 5, 19, 17 guns. So it is that slim frame, but no finger grooves, which is awesome. I'm not a fan of finger grooves. No light rail. However, Streamlight and some of the other light companies are making lights that will attach to the dust cover and trigger guard. So there's going to be light options. We do have the mag release standard on the left side of the gun. This is really kind of set up for a right-handed shooter, but as seen in the Gen 4 and on, it is reversible, so you can just flip it. Now, one thing to note is it is not an ambi slide stop. The slide stop is just on the left side of the gun. The right side of the gun is smooth. So no ambi slide stop like other Gen 5 guns. Out of the box, the trigger actually feels pretty good out of the box for a factory trigger. Average for both guns was right around 4 1/4 to 4.5 pounds trigger pull weight. And again, it has that improved firing pin safety, so we're having less drag when we actually are pressing the trigger from the trigger bar. So out of the box, they actually feel really good for a carry gun, an off-duty, backup, whatever type gun. Now, I'm sure the aftermarket will come out with different connectors and triggers for those of you that may want something, but the reality is, They feel pretty good. Now, if there was one thing that I don't like about the trigger, it is that it is a serrated face trigger on both models. I just prefer smooth triggers, but the reality is the ATF import points in the United States do give extra points in the system for serrated triggers. I don't know why, but that's just what they are. So I get it. Hopefully Glock maybe comes out with a smooth trigger for the slim frame. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm hoping. But all in all, first look, this is not meant to be my review. I know someone's gonna basically post a comment like you only have 100 rounds. This is not my review. This is like my unboxing and first look video. And my first look, my first impression is these guns are actually pretty nice. Now, of course, the most obvious question is, who is this gun for? Why would you look at it? Now, of course, we have, where did it go? Here it is. We have the 43, which is a very, very popular gun. Who would want to upgrade from the 43? Well, obviously, someone may be looking for a small, slim, easy to carry concealed gun, but maybe is looking for a little capacity. The 43x, no-brainer. Now, who would the 48 be for when a lot of people are saying, well, if the 48 is 19 sized, why not just carry a 19? Well, number one, in some countries, the 19 is not legal to own. That's an issue right there. So we enter the 48. Additionally, some shooters, take my wife, for example, she doesn't have the biggest hands. She likes the 43 with a grip extension. The grip feels comfortable in her hand. However, when she shoots my 19, she feels that she enjoys that more. The recoil is a little bit more mild, it's easier to control, so she likes shooting the 19, but the grip is actually a little bit big for her. As soon as I put the 48 in her hand, and I told her it shoots like the 19, she immediately found the grip more comfortable, and she basically told me that, yeah, I'm keeping this gun for her. So the 48 for me is already spoken for. I believe I'll have to argue my wife for that. But all in all, guys, for a first look, first impressions, I'm actually pretty impressed with the guns. They come with Glock's reliability. Obviously, that will, be determined. I'll put a few thousand rounds through these for my full review. My full review will probably be out in that spring, late spring, early summer, maybe April-ish or so. Like I said, I want to put at least 2,000 rounds through each of these guns before I can give them my glowing review. But first look is pretty positive. Now, MSRP is going to be in the mid 500s. However, street price, what I'm seeing on these guns with basic dovetail and sight indicators is about that $450 mark. Now, the reason why I say that is I'm a firm believer in upgrading your sights. The plastic sights, yes, they work out of the box, but the reality is getting a good set of sights, such as these Ameriglows, is just a great option. Now, speaking of that, Glock also is including options to get Glock factory night sights and the new Ameriglow sights from the factory for actually a pretty minimal price upgrade. The price is worth it. You're probably not going to be able to beat the price buying the gun, buying the sights aftermarket. So I'd really encourage you to check that out. Again, for full information, for all the specs, things like that, you can type Glock 48 or 43X in the search provider of your choice. Otherwise, we will have links on our webpage. Unfortunately, again, due to social media policies, we can't. But first impressions, these guns are pretty solid. I hope you guys found this first look helpful. If you have any questions about the 43X or the 48, leave a comment in the section below. As always, if you have questions in general about guns and tactics related stuff, we do have our monthly QA series where you submit your questions, we answer your questions at the end of the month. To submit your question, send your question to the email address shown on the screen below. That is theqa@gunsandtactics.com. One lucky question asker gets a prize every month thanks to our sponsor, so we'd love to see your questions make it to the show. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day.